way too busy.
Oh, thank you.
You're just right down the street, so
We're not.
trying to grab lunch or something today. Glad to hear it.
So you driving a lot, Rick? You drive?
I went back to what I used to do. They said you might do that, but don't count it like a church sound.
Okay.
So I do that, and I just look around the side. Every once in a while.
Yeah. No, it's fun. It's fun. I don't mind driving. When people say, "Oh, you know, you gotta go here," I'm like, "Okay, I'm good." You know, people, yeah.
Good morning, Emmaus Rotary.
Good morning.
Grab the blue books. We're going to page number 122 for Grand Old Flag. Page 122. Here we go. Very well done. We are getting there. I think I need readers, though.
Yes, you do, Steve.
I really am getting. I may be changing my look up here shortly. Bill Erdman, good morning. Do you have our invocation?
Good morning, everybody. For Rotarians who've been around for a while, you've heard this before. I found this very inspirational. We all have times in our life when we really struggle. And many times you think to yourself, I'm alone. This message very simply says you are never alone. It's called Footprints. One night a man had a dream. He dreamed he was walking along the beach with the Lord. Across the sky flashed scenes from his life. Each scene he noticed two sets of footprints in the sand, one belonging to him and the other to the Lord. When the last scene of his life flashed before him, he looked back at the footprints in the sand. He noticed that many times along the path of his life there was only one set of footprints. He also noticed that it happened at the very lowest and saddest times in his life. This really bothered him, and he questioned the Lord about it. Lord, you said that once I decided to follow you, you'd walk with me all the way. But I had noticed that during the most troublesome times in my life, there's only one set of footprints. I don't understand why, when I needed you most, you would leave me. The Lord replied, my precious, precious child, excuse me, I love you, and I would never leave you. During your times of trial and suffering, when you see only one set of footprints, it was then that I carried you. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Bill. Megan? Or who's got the... Megan, who do we have?
A bunch of guests today. From our youth exchange program, we have Anna. I'm not sure if I'm saying your last name right. Mila? Hi, Sarah. Hello. And we also have some guests from the Engineers Without Borders program. And Chris Warren is going to introduce those guests.
Okay, let me just go get a sequence here. We have three members. I think as most of you know, Rotary is a very strong supporter of Engineers Without Borders.
Turn around.
Oh, sorry.
Turn around.
Jim Bott, Bill in there, and Carl Sabana.
Got it.
We have a latecomer guest that Cindy's going to introduce.
I'm really pleased to introduce, and I'll tell you a small world. This is Charlotte Tor Hansen, and she is the spouse of past District Governor Tor Hartman Hansen from the Bethlehem Morning Star. And I will tell you, Rotary works in strange ways because a person from Haiti knows her, and we'll tell you about that. But we're excited to have Charlotte here.
Okay, thank you, Megan. So I believe we went from July to October in 24 hours, which means that we are celebrating birthdays. Val, who do we have?
Good morning. When I call your name, please stand. We have Moses with October 1st, Ginny Wingard also October 1st, Mike Waddell October 4th, Lisa Spradlin October 5th, Dave Colt October 8th, Rory King October 9th, Bryce Ruggieri October 9th, Bob Goller October 11th, Rick Zayitz October 13th, Gary Roebuck October 15th, Don Bloss October 17th, Jim Palmquist, October 18th.
Wow.
And last but not least, Mike Everly, October 22nd. Did I miss anyone? Half our club.
So let's sing half of the club happy birthday.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Rotarians. Happy birthday to you. And they live down in our valley.
All right. So, real quick, anybody notice anything different when you got here this morning? No?
Cold.
There is a Welcome to Emmaus Rotary and the Rotary wheel on the LCD out there. The problem is it's too far back, so I didn't even see it either, but I know it's there. Okay, just some real quick announcements. Monday, this coming Monday is Welcome to the World of Rotary event from 6:30 to 8:30 at Bravo. So far I know that Megan Reed and Sue Wenner are signed up for that. If anyone else that's a new Rotarian or any Rotarians want to go to it, I think there's a lot to learn by that. Rick, are you going to make it?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so there's 3, there's 4, good. All right, that's good representation. If anyone else wants to go, please contact me. Also, there's an RLI, a Rotary Leadership Institute, on October 19th at Arcadia University in Glenside, Pennsylvania. And there's also a Rotary Foundation seminar and grant training on Saturday, November 2nd at Montgomery County Community College. And I'd like to move now to welcoming up for a sad goodbye, in my opinion. Peter is heading out to Kenya. I don't know if anyone read my president's message, but I'm still blown away that you're 84 years old. It just, I'm blown away by it. You act like you're 50. Time and opportunity come to everyone from a wise man. Peter, take it away. Your floor.
I don't think so. And Mr. President, fellow Rotarians, and the guests, first, we thank God for the gift of life, the gift of this day, and this time. Service above self is a Rotary motto. It is a naked truth that everything has a beginning and has an end. Rotarian Peter Nganga Bugwa, myself, has been visiting a mass Rotary Club for the last 2 months. And the period of the visit has come to an end. God willing, I shall fly back to Kenya on Friday, 4th October 2019 at 9:15 p.m. from Newark International Airport and arrive at Jomo Kenyatta Airport in Kenya on Sunday morning at 1:25 a.m. When I came from Kenya, this place, I did not bring any food with me. I did not come with the air from Kenya, and I didn't have a bodyguard from Kenya, and I never brought a car from Kenya, a house, bed or beddings, utensils or doctors, etc., etc. All these human requirements have been provided here by God, and you here without any payment, and I'm grateful. So I say many thanks to God and you Rotarians, and may God bless you greatly. Please allow me, Mr. President, to give special thanks to all those very kind ladies and gentlemen who gave me a car ride every Thursday morning like today, and from home and back home. And they took me very punctually and without any pay. This is wonderful, and I really appreciate them. When I get back to Kenya, I'll report this with happiness. My members of the family, my government, Rotarians, and the other close friends of mine. And also thank you, because I received here very warm handshakes and smiles. And I tell me, I'm a teacher, and the fact you don't give a smile and a greetings to your students, they won't respond to your questions. Smiles is free, and the greetings is a very special reward that many people refuse to give, although they have them. In my culture or tradition, when a friend like myself comes to visit you, he gives you a debt, D-E-T. And when you get a debt, you have to pay back. You have to pay back. So, Mr. President, you included, you owe me a debt. You have to come to Kenya. And some of you, and they eat what I do. You sleep where I sleep. And then you step in my house. That in our tradition. In our tradition. Unless you do that one, you are not a good friend. And in your tradition, we don't make appointments. The other day when I came here, my daughter and my son-in-law were telling me, you did not book. I tell you, in our tradition, when I walk to my daughter's or my son-in-law's house, I don't book an appointment. I just walk in. Simple. You go there, if you find them eating grass, you join them, and I'm happy. However, I have enjoyed my short stay here. My assignment in Nakuru Rotary Club every Tuesday morning is to teach what you call them white things. That's my job, because I'm an educator. And every morning, every Tuesday, I give them a list of white sayings. And I'm doing the same here, but if you think you need them in the future, every Tuesday when I do it in Kenya, I'll forward a copy here for your information, and you get more knowledge.
Peter, Dale has a question. Or a statement.
Yes.
I'll pay you the airfare.
Very much.
I'll pay Steve's airfare to go over to Kenya.
Looks like I'm snuggling with Peter.
But you're not going to tell him when you're going, right?
Thanks, Dale.
Right.
Any other question? For now, I have learned one statement from this great country. One great statement. Because I'm a learner, I'm a teacher, and I'm a trainer, and I'm a psychologist. One thing I've learned from this great state, that when you look inside my eyes, you look at me here, or I look at you, what do you see? What do you see when you look at me? Your eyes. The answer is, Jim, you see God. You see God the Creator. You don't see a white man, a black man, a rich man, a poor man, you see God. This is a message when I go back to Kenya. I'm going to tell even my president and his deputy, who are my small boys, when I was school principal many years back. That's a message. It's a wonderful land. May God be with you. Till we meet again. Goodbye, and let us pray for one or for each other. I would like to, when I invite you, I'm going to give you my contact in Kenya. If you happen to come there, you will call the number I'm going to give you in this card. If you have got a friend coming to Kenya from here, either a missionary, a doctor, a business person, when you come to Kenya, you should get in touch with me and I will come here. In Kenya, in our tradition, when you come to my house, you are no longer my guest. You are the guest of the community. People take care of you. And I'll ask this young man here. Hey, you young man, go to the age I'm older than you. I'm 84 myself. And very quickly, Rija, you give this card to every table. And you keep that card in your table. And you decide who is going to do it. So when you want to come to Kenya anytime, you ask, let me have the number of that man who was here. And then, can you do so quickly? I'm now doing it as a class, as a teacher, very quickly.
I wouldn't trust Elijah.
And Mr. President, I also give you another list of the white sayings for your people. If you like it, as you send it. And there's another one, and when I get to God, I'll send you. And I'll say one thing. Men are equal when they are going or when they are walking. You are equal at that time, you look the same. But the gifts, experiences, other things are different. I'm happy. And in case I've made a mistake because I'm a human being, if I offended anybody, I beg the excuse.
Peter, thank you. I want to present you with a Emmaus Rotary flag. That's it.
Take a photo, goes all right, I'll take it to Kenya.
There we go. Keep Steve out of it.
Peter, we're going to miss you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you so much.
You people, I love you. In my education, the classroom teaching I was taught by the British. But when it comes to training to be a teacher, I was trained by American missionaries. And Paul, I'm happy to see you.
I'm happy to
And
see you too.
I'll write you again to leave this one, that hope and faith will take you far. And I'm happy to see you.
Thank you, Peter. Safe travels home. You'll never meet a more interesting guy, I'll tell you that. All right, moving on with our program. Bob, do you have something to say this morning?
Well, I guess if I get to go to Kenya, I'll be flying over there to Joe Puglisi You know, Joe has an airplane and a license, and I think if we could probably come up with a few dollars for the little bit of fuel it uses, maybe he could take us over 2 or 3 at a time.
We'll take the short path.
Peter reminds me of a church I used to go to. You didn't wonder when the sermon ended or when it began. I didn't realize that when you're 83, you look like 50. Because I'm 81, I guess I only look like 40, right? Anyway, just to update you, you have papers on your table, but in case you didn't read it, Peyton's team last week, they beat Michigan State, which they beat them once before, a couple times before. They finally beat Michigan, first time ever in the history of the two schools meeting. They'll be playing tonight, or this afternoon at 3:30. It'll be on the Big Ten Network. They're playing Maryland. Now they have a big job to do because Maryland just got beat by Penn State by 59-0. I told my granddaughter, you don't have to get 59 points, but at least get 3 or 4. I know most of you are watching or working today, but I'm off, so I can watch the thing on TV. All right. Starting today and for the next 3 weeks, I'll be collecting candy for the Miracle League. I also have my jar out for the money because we need some money too because we have to buy some of the groceries and what have you. But I'll be doing that for the next 3 weeks. We expect to have about 300 children and 150 adults. Plus there's about another 100 exhibitors because there's 50 exhibitors and each exhibitor's probably got 3 or 4 people and it may be more. Please bring your tabs next week because the Miracle League has canceled their the 19th game. The 12th, which will be coming next week, will be the last game for the Miracle League until the spring. So they have to get ready for the Halloween event, which is the following week. So I appreciate that and thank you for all your help.
Bob, is there a game this
There's
Saturday?
a game this Saturday
I thought
and a
so.
game
Okay.
next Saturday.
Right.
Yeah, next Saturday is the last week.
All right, thanks.
Okay. And if you haven't signed up, sign up because we still need a few more people. And Karen has very generously convinced a few people, 5 people, to come to do it on Saturday, on the 12th, at from the AI, right? AI Orthodontics, right? Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, Bob. Any, Karen?
To make a difference day, 19th of October, we have sign-up sheets there, we still need some people, so please sign your name. Yes.
On that note, thank you to the PR committee. There was a nice write-up in the East Penn Press this week on that, so that was good. Dee?
Real quick, I have put papers out on the table and asked them to pass for Purple Pinky race, which is October 12th, for Teeny Emmaus. And as you all know, that gets double, triple by the Gates Foundation. Plus you get credit, that's why you fill it out. And some people have already given me some money, so appreciate it. And go Teeny Emmaus. And the other thing is, if anybody's still, I'm looking for some hosts yet for October 15th and 19th to host the Oregon Incoming Friendship Exchange. So if you're interested, please email me or call me. I have some people, but I still need 1 or 2 more. Thank you.
Thank you, Dee. Cindy, welcome home.
Thank you. I wanted to give a quick update. As you know, we started this summer a food feeding program at Lincoln Elementary School. And it's very different in that we're also working with Kiwanis Lions and Lionesses, and although we are the biggest. And I wanted to tell you this week, our subcommittee, Bill Erdman, Sal, Rick, and I, and Ashley met with the school district. We served this, it was a little bit slow, we served about 150 kids this summer. As of this point, we're starting to expand our program. We have a grant from district for $10,000 just for Emmaus, $5,000 from us, $5,000 from the district. Next summer, we'll be expanding to 2 or maybe more locations. For those of you who don't know, at Lincoln and Jefferson Elementary School, roughly 40% of our kids are hunger deprived and get free lunches and have nothing on the weekend. In the next couple weeks, our expansion in working with the guidance counselors, we'll be starting to do food packing for weekend programs. We're just getting it started. That will take some volunteers for our packing as we get it started. We expect to take this really big because in our district there's actually a couple thousand students who are hungry. So I wanted to give everybody an update.
Thank you, Cindy. It really is mind-boggling. You think, you don't see it, but it's there. Richard.
Membership committee meeting immediately following this meeting.
Thank you. Eric.
Again, just real quick, for the upcoming new badges that we're working on, I'm going to be passing this around the next few weeks. Check, just make sure that your name is spelled correctly and write in there your classification in case it has changed. Once I have all that assembled together, then we'll work at getting our new badges ordered. So I'll have this going around for the next few weeks, just move it from table to table. Thank you.
Mr. Brinko.
The motorcycle committee got an email, and the Tales of Valor has asked us for names for the dog. They're going to name next dog after someone named after. I made a recommendation, and I'd like to thank the motorcycle board for taking that recommendation. The dog's name is Luke. It is after First Sergeant Luke Mercadante, who died in Afghanistan on April 15th, 2008. Him and I were very close friends. When I came out of 3rd Recon, went back to Terrace Island as an MP, he was my liaison, and was all infatuated with the things I had done in 3rd Recon, wanted to go over. Well, as a First Sergeant, he got that chance. Interesting story. I was at the Marine Corps Ball many years ago up at the ski resort. I keep calling it Bill Mountain, but it's Bear Creek. So I'm having the first sergeant major actually came over, was standing next to the bar next to me and my wife's girlfriend at the time, and I said to him, I said, hey, would you do a shot for me or a shot with me? He said, sure. And I said, we did a shot, and we did a shot for Luke. And he looked at me before he threw it back, and he said, you knew him? I said, yeah, knew him, I trained him. And he kind of, I said, where'd he go? I had dinner with him the night before he died. And he told me this story, and this was typical Luke, and this guy was in line to be First Sergeant in the Marine Corps. All the brass and all the guys with all the stripes always ride in the back of the convoy. Okay? So the major turned to First Sergeant Mercadante and said, hey, I want you to ride in the back of the Humvee with me. He turned around, looked at them all, and said, I'm sorry, ladies, I'm riding up front with my Marines. And that his vehicle was hit by a roadside bomb. But the dog, his name is Luke, and they're supposed to make a presentation.
Yeah, at some point we'll expect them to come here and we'll have a little photo op and everything, so yeah, it should be nice.
So thank you.
Thank you, Doug. Thanks to the Motorcycle Poker Run Committee. You guys, pretty special. Really, really neat. Really neat. Any other announcements? Hey, Eric, we should probably move on to the raffle.
I'm ready. We'll have our lovely exchange to pick our first one. So.
I know.
And if you would please, grab a ticket out of there, and we'll see what the lucky number is today. Last 3 digits. 182. All right. Thank you. Okay, got it. But that allows you the privilege to pick the next one. All right. 191.
That looks like mine.
Are you sure? It looks like yours.
That's 2 weeks in a row, Wilmer.
Fine.
You're at 183. 183, going once. Going twice. Next. 198.
Thank you, Wilmer.
All right.
All right, congratulations. Sarge, what do we got going?
There you go.
So I'm going to auction off this fine hat that was left on the table. I mean, what's nice about this hat, it comes with the 17 fob to it, So do I hear any?
I'll give you $100 for the
$100 for it. Elijah, how much money do you have? Let him do it and he'll give it to you. Don't. How much? $20. $20. All right, sold.
All right.
Don't leave your stuff on the table, people.
Didn't know the charge was a pickpocket.
Yeah. I got some money already. I am leaving early, so that will go in as my fine. We got to be moving along, so Christina, I want to thank you for coming. She was messaging me last night asking who the speaker was, and the minute she heard who the speaker was, she said, I'm in. So I want to thank you for coming today. That's perfect. Happiness, quick. Go ahead, Joe.
Two happy dollars. I missed a lot of meetings, so happy to be back. Can we make the print in those songbooks a little bit bigger?
Let's get bigger readers.
Cindy.
I have $10. I'm happy that Neil's here. I'm happy that Charlotte's here. And $8 for coming back to the real world for almost 8 weeks away in Zimbabwe, Zambia, and South Africa. And happy that our Engineers Without Borders buddies are here too.
Yo.
I have 15 happy dollars. Today is my youngest daughter's 15th birthday morning.
Another October baby.
I need those readers.
Anything else? Back to you, sir.
All right, great. Okay, Cindy, you can introduce our program today. Thanks, everybody. Special meeting this morning.
Hi, I have always told you guys that Rotary works in strange ways, not because I'm strange, but because it works in strange ways. And Rotary connects the world. So about 2 years ago, we were at the Rotary International Convention, and I can't remember if it was Atlanta or Toronto, but my dear husband, he's over there, says, I think I'm going to join the Rotary Action Group on Water and Sanitation, WashRag, and they have this worldwide water summit. Do you want to come? I'm like, no, not really. It doesn't sound. But he kind of dragged me. And it turns out it's a wonderful action group. And we're at a breakout session. And so I'm sitting around a bunch of people from around the world. And I sit next to Neil. And I'm like, so Neil, what's your story? Where are you from? He says, oh, I live in Haiti. I'm like, really? Turned out that our Pottstown Club was trying to work on their first global grant in Haiti, had never done one, and needed some help. I'm like, wow, do you think that I could connect you with our person in Pottstown? And he said, oh yeah, sure. Find out he's on the cadre of technical advisors. So was it last year, he ended up coming to the United States with his family. I found out he went to Albright College in Reading, but has lived in Haiti for 30 years. Okay, so now he's come back, and we had him at Pottstown last night. And I found out last night, while drinking rum and cokes in our family room, that he's like, oh, I wanted to tell you, Charlotte Tor Hansen is coming tomorrow. I'm like, oh, okay, I know Charlotte, because her husband was past district governor. And he said, yeah, Charlotte and our kids grew up together, and their parents are best friends from New York. I mean, does Rotary work in strange ways or what? So today, we're happy to have Neil here visiting with us. He's lived in Haiti for the last 30 years. And he has started his own co-founder of a company called Haiti Outreach in a small little town, Pignon, is that how you say it? In Haiti, where he is married to a Haiti native, and she's a physician. And his company helps deal with water installation and drilling. So through his years of experience, he became a Rotarian and is now one of the co-chairs of the Haitian National Water and Sanitation called Hanwash, and is also one of what's called the cadre of technical advisors for Rotary Action Group on Water and Sanitation. Each of our 6 areas of focus has a cadre of technical advisors. As you may or may not know, past president from last year, Barry Rassin from the Bahamas, has started a worldwide initiative in Haiti to see that every Haitian has potable water. So Neil has a wealth of information to provide us. Let's welcome Neil to come up and talk to us.
Thank you, Cindy. And it's awesome that Rotary connects the world. You know, I'm fortunate to have both my parents still alive. They live up in Bangor, Maine. But short of my parents, the person that's known me the longest is probably Charlotte. She's one of the few people on the planet that have seen my bare butt. We've wrecked boats together, we've partied together, we've done everything together for a long, long, long time. And when Tor Hartman Hansen was the district governor, she reached out to me and she said, Neil, I know you've been in Haiti for a long time. It's a time I'm district governor. We should make something happen around water in Haiti. And so I'm very fortunate to be here today. I was so happy to see her come. It's fantastic that you're here. Thank you. So I'm here today to talk about the Haitian National Water and Sanitation Initiative. And it's an initiative being born out of the District 7020, which covers Haiti and most of the Caribbean. It's led by about 10 past district governors in the region, including the immediate past district governor who was from Haiti. We had a unique opportunity a couple years ago when the Prime Minister of Haiti was a Rotarian, and 3 or 4 of the ministers of the government were also Rotarians. And it created a situation where we had an opportunity to lead a strong conversation forward. And district leadership jumped on that opportunity to create this. I want to start by first saying that when we talk about intervening in water and sanitation, there's a very clear distinction that we need to make before we can start, and that is the distinction between relief work and development work. Now, relief work is what we see happen on the news. It's earthquakes, it's hurricanes, it's tornadoes, it's blizzards. Something happens that disrupts the systems that provide the services that we all rely on, the electricity service, the medical service, the water service. Something happens to push those services out of functioning. And in those situations, it triggers a relief need. And if we have to put bottles of water on a plane and ship them to the Bahamas, then we do that. We do whatever we need to do to make sure people are safe and stay alive. And you know, we might ship bottles of water down there today, but we're not going to do it for months on end. Or if we do, while we're doing that for months on end, we got to transition into a development conversation. And that's all about putting the systems in place that we need to keep things functioning. The best example of that would be the electricity system that we all rely upon here. I can pretty much guarantee you that if the power went out right now, all of us would sit here and wait for it to come back on. But the truth of the matter is, if the power goes out, there's a whole team of people who would jump into their trucks and grab their tools and go out and fix the transformer, the wires, and so on and so forth to repair the service and get it back online. That's the redundancy of a system that's there that we all rely upon. And if it didn't come back on, then we would start making phone calls and get upset about why the system is broken and why isn't something happening. So I just wanted to create that. When we talk about water and sanitation, it's so much more than just putting a well in the ground or putting some pipe in the ground or doing the technical work necessary to build a water system. It's about building a hierarchical system with people in charge and responsibility, clear delegations of responsibility. And what happens when we deal with it as a relief conversation is that basically half of all the water and sanitation infrastructure is broken. And this is specifically says Haiti, but the same thing is true all across Africa and Central and South America. Pretty much everything that everyone has ever done, that includes not just Rotary International, but World Vision, CARE, USAID, UNICEF, everyone has about a 50% success rate. So everyone you ever heard drill a borehole or put a hand pump in, half of that isn't working. And in my first 10 years down there, Charlotte will attest that my dad thought me moving to Haiti was the worst idea on the planet. And he said, you don't know anybody, you don't know the language, you don't have any money, what do you think you're gonna do? Well, we went down and we got busy doing all kinds of stuff, and that included doing boreholes and following the leadership of the world, which was UNICEF and World Vision, and we did their best practices. And after 10 or 15 years, I realized this was our success rate. I said, well, we have to do something better. We can do better than this. And I did a survey, we mapped some things, and it hit me in the middle of that conversation that this is a management problem. This isn't a technical problem. It's not because we don't have a good enough rig or we're not using a good enough pump. It's because it's a management breakdown. And so we started treating it as a management breakdown and training the communities to have a business plan and get responsible, and created language and leadership training that transformed the way the community talked about their well and their water supply. And pretty much overnight jumped to a success rate of 90%. Like from 1 month to the next, 50% working, 90% working. And 10 years after that, we said, wow, we've got a way to win the game. We actually have something that delivers something that nobody else has in the world. And we asked ourselves, how would we know when we won the game? And when we realized what that was, we said, well, we need to know where all the houses are, and we need to know where all the water is. And if there's a water point in the middle of your table, every house within 500 meters of that water point has access. And if they're outside of that, then we got to do another well here. Oh, the reality of Haiti looks like this. Here's a girl on her way home from school. She had to stop at the water point and grab a bucket of water to carry home. Now, water and the scarcity around water and access to potable water impacts girls the most, because the young girls are the ones that need to go get the water. First and foremost, they're the ones that they send to go haul the water back home. Secondly, it's fairly common knowledge that there aren't as many girls in school as there are boys. And what most people don't realize is that in the early grades, there's an equal number of boys and girls in pretty much every school. And where those numbers change is when the girls start having their periods. When the girls start having their periods, there's no water and sanitation at the schools. There is no way to deal with that at school, and so they stay home. And so for a week every month, the girls stay home and miss school. Well, you can imagine that it doesn't take very long when you start to see them get to that age that the girls start dropping out. They just can't keep up because they're missing 25% of their time at school. Why? Because there's no access to water and sanitation at the school. Oh. The district in 7020 in the Caribbean had been doing relief work for years. They've been providing filters, they've been doing all kinds of what they now know as relief work. And they were distributing filters, Sawyer filters, biosand filters, and so on and so forth. And they realized that, wow, just giving people filters doesn't provide access. It doesn't get us where we want to go. What would it look like if we actually did this and provided access to potable water instead of just gave out filters? Because every time you give out a filter, by the time you give out all the filters, somebody else has another house and you got to give out one more and one more and one more. There's no system in place that continuously provides it. And so we all got together in Atlanta, like Cindy said, and created this initiative. This is a picture of us at a workshop we created. It resulted in a joint agreement between the Haitian government and the District 7020, a joint memorandum of understanding for Rotary to work with the national level government to provide water and sanitation to as many communes as possible. At that workshop were representatives of DINIPA, the National Water Agency, District 7020, Pure Water for the World, World Vision, Haiti Outreach, USAID, and Rotary's Water and Sanitation Rotary Action Group. The agreement laid out an initial program of 4 pilot projects. Each commune, each town, a township, would have a champion Rotary district. We'd work in it for 5 years to do a couple different things. First and foremost, to map that commune and say, okay, here are all the water points, here are all the houses, here's where things need to be cleaned up, here's where things need to be fixed, and here's where we need to build new stuff. A combination of water systems and borehole wells and other solutions that systematically and transparently increase access to potable water across the commune. And that map looks a little bit like this. To date, we've mapped about 1/3 of the country, more than 23,000 water points. Every well, water system, kiosk, water fountain, hand pump across all this region has been mapped. And you can see the round circles. Each one of those circles is a 500-meter radius around a water point. And for every water point, we say we need to know 5 things. We need to know it's functional. That means water is physically capable of coming out. If I walk up to it, that water point should be able to physically deliver water. Then I need to know that that water point is managed, that it's managed in a way that there's revenue around it. Whenever I build something, I put a pump in, I put a valve in, I put something that has a design life. At some point in the future, it's going to fail. And unless that community has some kind of revenue, some kind of money coming in, then I'm only setting them up to fail if they don't have a way to pay for new parts. So, thirdly, they need sanitation coverage. Having clean water isn't enough. You have to have sanitation. That means everyone has to have a latrine, an outhouse, a septic tank. They have to have somewhere where they go and use the bathroom. Though the water allows them that, but if they're going, excuse my language, shitting in the woods, then the flies and everything else are going to carry that back into the house. And we've got to deal with that. Fourthly, the water needs to be potable. It can't have cholera in it, it can't have typhoid in it. That means it's free from any contaminants that are going to make you sick. And lastly, it's one thing to know that all 4 of those things were there 10 years ago. It's another thing to know that somebody told me that it was that way yesterday. That it needs to be inspected fairly regularly in order for that to happen. This map shows us all the green circles are the water points that are functional and potable. All the yellow ones are broken, and all the red ones are contaminated with E. coli. So if you drink out of one of the red water points, you're going to get sick. So all this together is created ways for Rotary clubs and districts to get involved. One of the most challenging things that Rotary clubs can do is put together a global grant. Cindy shared that you guys have done many, many global grants. There's a lot of clubs that haven't. And I'm sure that you guys have your share of horror stories around global grants. And so the District 7020 leadership has taken on this opportunity to say, look, we're going to simplify this process. We're going to line up the local Haitian clubs. We're going to drive this Hanwash program using the local clubs, enrolling them in the local government officials, and creating every piece of it that's necessary to fill out a global grant. And then the clubs and districts up here can buy into these projects that systematically increase access and will be monitored. I wanted to keep that pretty short. If you want to see more information, you can go to hanwash.org and look up all that information. You can sign up on the website. We provide quarterly webinar updates via a teleconference, and we have about a quarterly newsletter that we put out right now. At this point, we're working in a commune called Cavaillon, and the main project right now is that we've laid out an action plan for the commune that is about a $2 million project that includes bringing the city water system back online, providing a solar pumping solution, working with the government to create a revenue stream around that so that people can manage and maintain that, and about 87 boreholes with hand pumps in the countryside around the city. If we do all that work, we can raise the number of people who have access in this commune from about 35% to around 88%. And we hope to deliver that in the next 2 years. The first global grant, even the $2 million is a significant amount for Rotary. So the global grant that's being put together is a $400,000 grant that will be a joint district and Rotary global grant. The rest of the money, the remaining $1.6 million, is coming out of partnerships through Rotary's advocacy. We're leveraging our investment and our time to bring in World Vision, Food for the Poor, and several other large NGOs to piggyback on Rotary's money and actually do the borehole work and hand pumps and so on and so forth. So thank you very much, and I'll take some questions if people have them. Cindy.
Can you talk a little bit about what a Rotary Action Group is and what WashRag is specifically and what you do?
Okay, sure. Cindy asked if I could talk about what WashRag is. Several years ago, Rotary created what they called Rotary Action Groups, and they are a series of groups and fellowships, affinity groups is probably the best way to say it. There's Rotary Action Groups for beer, there's Rotary Action Groups for peace, there's Rotary Action Groups for whiskey and flying and shortwave radios and so on and so forth. Well, one of the largest is the Rotary Action Group around water, sanitation, and hygiene. And I'm actually one of the board members of the WASRAG. Every year we held a water summit the day before the convention, which is where I met Cindy. And the WASRAG is also dedicated towards facilitating clubs and districts around the world to implement solid and sound WASH programs. So if you have a WASH grant that you're trying to get done or need counsel on, you can contact the WashReg group. They have engineers and experts in water and sanitation around the world who will provide you counsel. And if you can make it through their process, you're pretty much guaranteed to have your global grant approved. Yes?
The Romans solved the water access problem 2,000 years ago, and there's still some aqueducts in the world that are functioning today. And yet, here we are in 2019, and a lot of parts of the world can't seem to solve the water issue, that water problem. What's the problem behind that?
The Romans did build that thousands of years ago.
They were great engineers.
They were fantastic engineers. I would argue that the only reason that they are still functioning is because somebody is managing and maintaining them. And it's the absence of that ownership that is the breakdown. That's why you have these breakdowns. When we focus on this, the heartstrings that get tugged here is, oh, we need a well, or all they needed was $200 and I fixed their pump. You know, I was there, they had a broken borehole, and I saw that and I gave them $50, and the next day I saw it was working, right? Those small amounts of money that we give are a relief conversation. You know, it helps us right now. We give them the money today and they have water. Great. Oh, I feel so good, right? We have to put systems in